Hello all, and welcome to another behind the scenes patron exclusive. In this video, I will be taking you through the creation of my piece, Dispersing Horizon. I had really been wanting to apply some of the mixed media techniques I have been exploring in a landscape, and I figured this would be the perfect opportunity. I started out by taping off the horizon line, separating the sky from the land, and colored in the blue at the top of the sky with water-soluble wax pastel. I then activated that with water before moving on to the warm parts of the sky. I did this because I didn't want the orange and pink to bleed into the blue and vice versa, overly muddying the transition between the two. Once the blue pigment was dry, I drew in the pinks and oranges of the sky and activated those. Finally, I put in a light transition section that was easy for me to control. Once the sky was dry, I switched the tape on the horizon line to protect the pigment in the sky. Then I drew in gradient blues to make the background of the mountains and ocean, and then activated them with quite a bit of water to create a strong water-spreading texture. With my base layer of quote-unquote watercolor in, I went in with large, straightforward brushstrokes of oil paint. I tried to load the brush up with all the colors I would need to block in a particular area so I could use as few brushstrokes as possible and avoid covering up all the watercolor texture between the oil paint. In addition to applying my techniques to new subject matters, I also wanted to push those mixed media techniques to fully take advantage of the oil paper medium I am working on. To accomplish this, I wanted watercolor texture making up the loosest background layer, with oil paint gradually bringing the scene into focus, and a final layer of pastel on top sharpening the image to its completion, all while maintaining the distinct textures of each layer throughout. After all the oil paint brush marks were put in, I waited for them to dry and then oiled them out with a mixture of Galkyd and Gamsol to bring them to an even finish. Once all of that was dry, I began putting in marks with both soft and wax pastels. My technique with each medium, as well as my interest in mixed media in general, is a result of my fascination with representation becoming deconstructed the closer you get to an image. From a distance, or on the surface, things may look normal or representational, but if you take a closer look, you find that the image quickly unravels into shapes, lines, and textures. I also just like bold colors and mark making, which in turn led me to developing techniques that complement my aesthetic and conceptual leanings. As I put in the pastel for this piece, I wanted to give the impression that if you sat and waited, watching the landscape, that it would eventually disperse into smaller and simpler fragments until nothing remained. This notion of disintegration and unraveling has been and will continue to be present in my work for the foreseeable future. Initially, and still largely a response to our seeming ambivalence about allowing the Earth to die, the sentiment of freefall has been relatively pervasive in all aspects of life recently. In these times, these techniques and visual elements come to represent the catharsis of allowing things to completely unravel, the simultaneous panic and relief of relinquishing control and watching it all go to shit. In this way, the art becomes more of a warning than an inspiration, at least I hope. And that's it for this piece. I really appreciate your patience with my delay in rolling these out, but we are picking up steam and the next piece, video, and postcard will be coming out in short order. Until then, stay safe and keep supporting each other, and vote!